Hand over to Julia, who can introduce herself. I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name's Rue. I am a marketing manager here. I also help with lots of student questions and talk to lots of students who do the courses as well. So I can put you in touch with students or academics who can answer your questions as well. So don't be afraid to ask questions. We'll put some contacts at the end as well. Cool, so I'll hand over to Julia now. And if you're all good to go, I might turn my camera off and stuff to give me a little break. But I'll still be here.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rue. So welcome to the MA Theatre and Performance session. My name's Julia Bardsley. I'm a lecturer in drama, theatre and performance here at Queen Mary. And I'm currently overseeing postgraduate talk programmes admissions for the drama department. So I'm a practitioner with 40 years of making work as a theatre artist. And my current practice works across the spectrum of theatre and performance making and generates hybrid works that fold in pinhole photography, video, extreme personas, psychological garments, and durational performance installations. So I'll be hosting this event about our MA Theatre and Performance programme, and we're joined and supported here by Rupert Danreuter, who's the marketing manager for School and English and Drama, and we like to call him Rue. Rue will be looking after the online chat, the Q&A question box, and posting useful links for you. So please put questions in the Q&A or chat section of this platform, both during and after the presentation, and we'll do our best to respond to it all today and in follow-ups if necessary. So the shape of the session is that I'll be running a slideshow that introduces you to the key features of the MA Theatre and Performance, and this will be followed by questions from you. So, introduction to the MA Theatre and Performance. The MA Theatre and Performance has been running at Queen Mary for many years and was significantly revised and updated in 2022. It's a specialised programme of postgraduate study led by research leaders, industry professionals and high-profile artists. MA Theatre and Performance supports postgraduate research and practice in experimental theatre, socially engaged performance, live art, relational and participatory arts and activism. Students will learn through studio-based and discussion-led methods through workshops, lectures, masterclasses, seminars, fieldwork and professional placements. The talk component of the programme includes a mix of seminars and practical workshops. So the key features of the MA Theatre and Performance are experts. So the programme's led by research leaders, industry professionals and high-profile practicing artists. These scholars, artists, arts professionals, mentors and visiting speakers are experts in the field. The QM Drama Department was top rated for research in the UK in the last 3 national audits of research in the REF, which is the Research Excellence Framework, and you can find out more about the staff in the department and their areas of research on the staff profiles on our website. The other key feature is our resources. The resources at QM include members of staff who are experts in the field and both often scholars and practitioners, the teaching spaces, workshop spaces, the technical support staff, libraries and archives. The spaces include 3 fully equipped studios, one of which is completely new this year, plus 3 other workshop studios, a recently upgraded small cinema with extraordinary audio-visual capacity, including 28 speakers, and a space designed for immersive exhibitions. The MA Theatre and Performance has dedicated use of FADS, which is the Film and Drama Studio in Arts 2, and students' work is supported by an experienced technical team with specialisms in all areas of theatre and performance technology. The key emphases of the MA Theatre and Performance are experimental performance from theatre to live art. And I like to call this a kind of expanded notion of theatre and performance and what theatre and performance can be. So the focus is on experimental performance from theatre to live art. And so, for example, through the expertise in live art with several makers in the department, Martin O'Brien and Suman Biswas, expertise in the theatre with makers including Lois Weaver of Split Britches, who recently performed works in the States and is currently presenting work in the UK, and practitioners who work straddles theatre, performance and live art like myself, with a new edition of my Reading Room series being presented in Portugal this October. So theorising and making. We emphasise the interplay between theory and practice, where theory informs practice and practice informs theory. And this is a really key emphasis of the MA Theatre and Performance. The programme is underpinned by its commitments to social justice and activism and cultural materialist approaches. So this means that it's concerned with the conditions performance is produced in and how those conditions affect performance, and that includes its audiences. So who is the MA for? Hopefully you, so artists, scholars, arts professionals, creative producers, curators, teachers, and many more. People who are interested in developing as independent scholar artists. So who should apply to the MA Theatre and Performance? Well, people who investigate, who make, and who enable others to make. So why would you choose to apply to the MA Theatre and Performance here at Queen Mary? So here's some key points. If you're looking to develop your abilities and skills, if you're looking to develop your reflexive capacities, if you're looking to develop your knowledge and expertise, to develop networks, and to develop your reach. This could be practical, intellectual, and creative. So here are some examples of some career paths that might come out of doing the MA Theatre and Performance here at Queen Mary. So you might have a career path in theatre or performance making, and there are a number of examples of students who've created companies. So Figs in Wigs, who are shown here in the picture at the side, making experimental work for the Royal Shakespeare Company, for example, and Shit Theatre, who've recently completed a run of their show Evita 2 at the Soho Theatre and are performing next month in 2 festivals in Portugal. Another career path might be arts producing, for example. We've got artist Urit Asheri, who's had major shows at the Wellcome Collection in 2019, being supported by an MA graduate, and others working as performance producers for Ducky. Others go on to further study, with recent graduates currently pursuing PhDs at Northwestern University in Chicago and the University of Newcastle, for instance. And past graduates have done PhDs here at Queen Mary, University of London, the University of Toronto, Royal Holloway, and many more. So activism. 2 graduates were leaders in the BLM movement in the UK in 2020. And then there's teaching. So, for example, at secondary schools in Georgia, USA, and across the world in higher education. So Queen's University, Canada, Goldsmiths University of London, Kingston University in London, Central St Martin's, and East 15 Acting School. So what will you study? I'm just going to go through some of the modules and going through a little bit more detail about the content and focus of those modules. So we have culture, ethics, politics, and this is a seminar-based module which examines what's urgent in contemporary theatre and performance and how theatre and performance scholarship can help us understand contemporary cultures and cultural debates. You'll explore a range of issues related to, for example, decolonisation, ethics, bodies, gender, sexuality, finance, spaces, institutions, labour, feelings, and spectatorship. And you'll consider issues of social power, representation, and social change. Body action documentation. Now, this is a practice-based module, explores approaches to making performance which centre on the politics of the body in performance. Through weekly workshops, the module will draw on methodologies from live art and experimental performance, using improvisation, action, and task-based performance, autobiographical approaches, and score making to develop creative and critical strategies for exploring body's identity and politics. In tandem with these practical activities, students will formulate creative strategies for documenting and disseminating process. Performance, activism, social justice. So this is a new module. It explores how performance contributes to social justice, especially through activism. It explores arguments for activism's benefits, but also explores its limits. It considers how performance studies can help us better understand and potentially practice activism for social justice, and how performance might particularly contribute to action for social change. Advanced research methods. So this module helps students build skills and approaches in their research methods and design, and supports students in their preparation for their dissertations. So there are two options for the dissertation, one which you might call it as a written dissertation. This independent research project culminates in a 12,000 to 15,000 word thesis. Working with the support of a supervisor, students pursue their own independent investigation of the theory and practice of performance. So the practice-based dissertation, as with the written dissertation, you'll be working with the support of a supervisor, and students pursue their own independent investigation of the theory and practice of theatre and performance. This independent research project culminates in a practice-based research dissertation consisting of a 5,000 word reflection and appropriate documentation of practice. And now you have a choice of modules, and the first choice is a module called Text Self-Performance. This new module explores through practice the relation between text, self, and performance in order to investigate critically the way performance may articulate individual experience, to invoke or confirm aspects of collective identity, and to complicate the assumed relations between performances and texts. So we might use existing scripts, but also devise texts, found texts, experiments with texts, examining what we might mean by a text and what a text could be. And throughout is an emphasis is placing on testing the limits of familiar approaches to creating and performing texts. The specialist research topic. So each time this is taught, this module is led by a different member of staff, and it's framed by their current research. So, for example, it could be theatre, ecology and feelings with Tiffany Watts-Smith, or feminist urban walking in the global south with Swati Arora, or global supply chain infrastructures and performance with Shane Boyle. So the module therefore responds to emerging ideas in theatre and performance studies and benefits from the wide-ranging expertise of the drama faculty. There's also the possibility of taking a module outside of the drama department, for example, in English, film, and maybe even electronic engineering and computer sciences with their expertise in audience research, and even geography with Art in London. There are also the possibility of short networking placements, and this would consist of 3 hours a week over 4 weeks with a partner organisation to meet the organisational staff, learn about their work and contribute to a focused task or project. Examples in the past have been with the National Theatre, Fuel Producing Company, Battersea Arts Centre, and Grey Eye Theatre Company. So just to let you know that the MA runs mid-September to mid-August. And this is just a little outline of the contact time per week. So in semester 1, there are 7 hours of contact time per week in the first semester, plus 4 hours of scheduled student-led practice. So the student-led practice is when you are working independently on a given task, which might relate to the module that you're doing if it's a practice-based module. So in semester 2, there are 7 to 8 hours of contact time in the second semester, plus 4 hours of scheduled student-led practice if you're taking the module text, self and performance, and then 3 hours per week for 4 weeks if you're in a placement. So semester 3, there's one-on-one supervision, and this is where you're working towards your dissertation. And the days of classes, the modules usually take place on separate days. So information on fees and funding, and hopefully Rue can put the link to this information that's on the website. So what you should do is just log on to the QM website and search for Postgraduate Taught Funding Masters. And there you'll find information on fees and funding. There'll be information on bursaries and scholarships that will be available to you. You'll find information on the PGT Black and Global Majority studentships that are available for QM BA graduates. And there's an alumni loyalty award, which gives a 10% reduction in fees. So we'll put the link there to that information on fees and funding.
Cool. Yeah, I was just going to say I'll do that just in a minute. But I was going to say, yeah, they just actually announced yesterday the Black and Global Majority studentships for 23-24. So that is open now, and I think I can't remember when it closes, but in a little while. And you have to have basically an offer for that, and you also have to be an alumni of Queen Mary, so from one of our undergraduate programs. But it's a really cool bit of funding, which as well as paying for fees, also gives like an £18,000 stipend for living expenses as well. So it's kind of a bit of both. So yeah, worth applying if you qualify.
Yeah, really, really worth applying for. That's a really great studentship. So we just go on to the last few bits of information about entry requirements. So we require a 2-1 or equivalent qualification in drama, theatre or performance studies, English, history of art, fine art or a related subject. We also require spoken English proficiency via IELTS with a score of 7 overall. And then how to apply. So make an inquiry via the website, search QMUL MA Theatre and Performance, but again, the links can be put in the chat for you. The application process is online via college admissions. And as part of your application, we ask you to provide 1 academic reference and a personal statement. And the personal statement is the real go-to thing with the application, because this is the place where you can, assert your own individual ideas of why you specifically want to apply to our program, and sort of map out your reasoning and your thinking. So that's a really, really important document to have as part of your application. So really think carefully about when you write that up, and the things that you want to say and the things that are most key and important for you and specific to you and your reasons for studying with us. So, and as we said previously, qualification requirements are a good 2-1 or a first, but there are exceptions. So there is room to have conversations about that. So I think that's it for me at the moment. So I think, Rue, we'll open it up to see if there are any questions at all.
Yeah, so Scott Quinn was in my office right now.
Yeah. I'm
I was
just
just
going
gonna,
to get out of this slideshow so I can actually
yeah, cool.
see
So
what
we can
people said.
open up to questions, and if we don't have any questions, I might have a few that I know that people always ask. Cool. So yeah, please use the Q&A box, which is on the right-hand side of the screen under the session tab. So you're in a session now. You're in the MA Theatre and Performance session. We're here to answer questions for a little while, but we won't string it out because not a thing. But we'll, yeah, like we do get questions about similar things quite a few times. I'm not sure. I think you might still be sharing, Julia. Let me just.
Okay.
Should I just remove? I think I just removed from my screen. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. And apologies for anyone who gets my video in behind as well. I'm not sure how to blur it. But what I was going to say is, yeah, thanks for listening to what's happening so far. And I'd say MA is your chance to sort of to make your own work and go in a different direction to maybe what you did at undergrad, or sometimes people are just extending that and thinking they're thinking they're not quite finished yet with something that they started at undergrad, and they want to continue and have support to be able to do that. And some of the things Julia mentioned, like in terms of like resources and people to talk to, I think that is a really valuable thing, as well as your cohort, who can suddenly become really valuable in helping you make things happen that might be quite complicated, or require lots of people to make them happen. So I'd say that's a really nice thing about the cohort that I'm seeing this year, is that they're really really helping each other out and supporting.
Well, it's interesting because there's quite a lot of undergraduates who
so they know the drill a little
straight
bit,
on
to
the MA. I mean, the other thing with the MA is to really sort of recognise that it's a different sort of step up from undergraduate sort of work. So the emphasis is much more on what it is that you wanting to pursue, and independent research, independent sort of development of practice. So it is good if you're just making the bridge from undergraduate to postgraduate, but also if you've been out of the sort of educational environment for some time, and you're wanting to either recalibrate what you're thinking about your own practice, or consolidate things that you've been doing in the sort of wider world, and come back with a sort of framework and a support system that can help you think about that development, of the next stages of your creative life, or your work within the sort of cultural sort of industries. So and I think that range of experience and sort of youth maybe that comes into the cohorts is also a really interesting kind of mix, so that you have a range of students who from very different cultural backgrounds often, but very different levels of sort of experience, and also all pursuing very different sort of agendas for themselves about what they want to get out of it. But it's always a very incredibly supportive environment where we're sharing knowledges and supporting each other. So it becomes a real sort of research and support culture for people to sort of do their sort of best and really find out what it is that they want to be doing.
I agree. And I chat with some of the students. I had a chat with some of them yesterday, and it was really nice to see them. They're all hanging out, kind of waiting to speak to someone, I think like Bridget or someone in the department. And it was really nice to see that kind of support that they give each other. And there was like one person who'd come out from externally, two people from our undergrad course. So it kind of does mix up, and it's not all just one person or the other. But I'd just say as well that there's quite an interdisciplinary approach at Queen Mary. So there are other courses as well. Obviously, we don't want to put you off this one, but there's cultural and creative industries. There's also a creative arts and mental health, which we run a module in drama from, which is about, is it performing mental health? My brain has gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there are things like if you have specialist interests, that might be able to add into the degree as well. And we're quite flexible about that in terms of being able to reach out a bit further. And also the kind of interesting things that are happening here at Queen Mary, which is kind of quite well known for science and medicine in terms of arts and all that kind of thing. In terms of some other cool sort of collaborations that we do with medicine, but also within electronic engineering, like and computer science, which Julian briefly mentioned as well. So there's lots of opportunities to sort of go wider than just our department. And I'd say like you're part of that kind of research community where you're going to, hopefully, we have an event called Quorum, which was great, which was all about the kind of breaking, like cutting edge people who are making a difference within the world of theatre performance, live art, technology, politics. Lots of people kind of come in under that bracket, and yeah, they're coming into campus. So we do online and in-person events with them. So that's just one kind of seminar that we run. But there's also lots of others within the faculty and wider throughout Queen Mary. And as I always say, it's quite hard to like find a night where there's nothing on, and we're quite, especially in term time. So yeah, we'd encourage all of our students to get involved and get stuck in, and think of your masters as quite a big commitment, and actually something that can really help you find your next steps, but also be a really great inspiring community to be around.
Yeah, it's a very lively research community, and also just to sort of mention that as part of your dissertation, whether you're taking the written dissertation or the practice-based dissertation, one part of it that happens in sort of May time is that there's a dissertation colloquium. So there's an opportunity for you to share where you're at with your research dissertation at that particular sort of moment, and get feedback and have discussion and share knowledges around that, which is kind of sort of like sort of the Quorum where you're really sort of sharing research, and that I think that leads to a really sort of healthy culture of sharing of information and knowledge and support.
Yeah, definitely. And from a wide range of backgrounds, so people from very traditional degrees, like I was talking to a student who'd come from a playwriting degree and central, and like it's kind of like a really interesting mix of people who've come from different backgrounds. So some people more traditional drama background, or some people from more experimental backgrounds, and we're going to expose them to new things no matter what kind of which way you come from.
One of the important things is that sort of idea which I talked about in the beginning, was this very expanded notion of what theatre and performance can be. So we really work along the spectrum from, say, what one might call more conventional theatre sort of practices, which one might think comes more out of a sort of literary sort of tradition, possibly, through to sort of more experimental physical theatre sort of modes, right towards the sort of other spectrum, towards more, say, live art performance practices, which come out of maybe sort of visual arts more, which actually might be antithetical in a sense to those more conventional theatre sort of modes and sort of frames. But I think that investigating and troubling those things is one of the really sort of fascinating aspects of the culture here at Queen Mary in the drama.
Yeah, I'm being challenged and not thinking that this is the only way. Like there's lots of different ways you can do things, and lots of research ways you can go down, and how politics is going to get involved in lots of things you do, activism, lots of things that we cover in our modules. I just quickly wanted to say that, this will be your last chance for questions, otherwise we'll wrap up. And just to say that there's a few things in the chat that might be useful. So one is the first one, if you scroll down to the bottom, so it's in the Q&A box, which is on the right-hand side of your screen under the session tab. So I'll try and send these to you by email after, alongside with the presentation. And if you're watching this on recording, hello. And to say that, the first link is just a list of staff, so you can see the kinds of expertise that they have, and it can help you with your dissertation, things like that. Second one is about having a great night out. Tomorrow, Saturday, it will be not tomorrow, my brain is gone. 25th. My brain is thinking it's Friday.
It's coming Saturday.
It's wishful thinking. This coming Saturday, which I will change in the chat. Have a look on there, because there's a really great artist called Moira Johansson who works here.
And works with me as well.
Yeah, works with Julia. I love Julia. So yeah, she's on alongside some really fun other performance artists as well. Like, so just have a look on there. Go along if you fancy a good night out on Saturday, not tomorrow. And what's the next one? Modge Solar. There's like a recent, we showed a picture of her Modge of the Antarctic show within the slideshow, and just to say that she's got a show called Family Tree, which is touring at the moment. It's currently in Coventry, which is where I've seen it. It's great, and it's also coming to Brixton House and sort of all over the country. So there's a bit about that in the next link up. And the last one was just about funding and what we were explaining about the link that Julia shared, which was all your key funding information. And then also I've just put a separate link, if you click the more bit, about the global scholarship. I think I've just realised that I might have actually put the wrong link for that one, so I'll try and put in the right link. There's one called Global Excellence and one a slightly different one, so let me just put the other one and then I think we'll head. But if there's any questions in the meantime,
Rupert, do you want to put my email address there as well? So if there's any
I'll put your emails.
Admission inquiries, you could email me.
So get in touch with Julia if you've got any questions or want to have a chat further about the kinds of things that are going on in the course. And she might get in touch with you as part of your application if you do apply as well. So don't be afraid if you hear from Julia. She's here, and yeah, she'll talk you through like what the next steps and things like that. So it's J.Bardsley, isn't it?
J.Bardsley, yeah.
Yeah, cool. I just was wondering. I'll just put the admissions one as well. So if you're struggling with our admissions process or anything like that, we can help guide you through that, and also chase any applications if you feel like you've applied quite a long time ago and haven't heard anything. We can kind of chase those up for you and within the school.
I think I'm pretty up to date at the moment with those.
We can chase Julia, but sometimes it's not Julia. It's actually stuck within the system before.
Yeah.
Julia. So we'll
don't blame me.
Cool. Just to say a big thank you to people watching. Either on recording at home. We're doing a sort of in-person thing later, not again today on Wednesday, 22nd of March. But it will just be more informal Q&A. It's not going to be like a specific session around theory and performance. Cool. So yeah, just a big thank you to Julia and everyone for watching. And yeah, we'll say goodbye now. I think I'll turn my camera off and then I'll press the leave button in the corner as well. So yeah, thank you, Julia, and I'll see you later.
Yeah, bye.